The stars stretched endlessly across the void, distant suns blinking like tiny lamps in the dark. In the depths of this infinite space, the Galactic Empire's patrol fleet moved with quiet authority, massive warships glinting with polished armor, their engines humming in perfect unison. The Empire was confident, as it always was. Intelligence reports had identified a human fleet in a nearby sector. Small, inexperienced, and supposedly insignificant, the humans were expected to vanish under even the smallest Imperial assault. Admiral Cray, seated in his command tower aboard the Imperial Dawn, glanced at the tactical displays. Each blip on the screen represented a human ship, small and fragile-looking. He smiled with the certainty of a man who had never failed in his life. "They are nothing," he said, voice calm but firm, "a minor annoyance at best. Prepare for a demonstration of our superiority. I want them crushed before dinner." His officers nodded, eyes gleaming with anticipation. The Empire had faced countless civilizations, and each had fallen before its might. Why would humans be any different? Meanwhile, in the human sector, Captain Mara Voss moved through the corridors of her flagship, the Endurance. She was a human, yes, but more than that, she was a strategist, a leader, and a problem solver. Her fleet was small compared to the Empire's, but it was alive with energy, a hive of activity. Humans were not the largest or most advanced in the galaxy, but they had something the Empire had forgotten: adaptability. "Captain," Lieutenant Ryan called out, holding a console. "Imperial sensors are active. They're observing us, probably thinking we won't notice." Mara looked at the blinking dots on the screen. She didn't flinch. "Let them watch. Humans have always thrived under observation. They think we are weak because we are small. That will be their mistake." Her crew worked in harmony, a mix of calm efficiency and creative problem-solving. Engineers adjusted power systems, pilots ran drills, and strategists studied the incoming transmissions. Every human on the fleet knew their part. They were few in number, yes, but they had experience, intuition, and courage, qualities the Empire often ignored in its calculations. The first interaction came quietly. An Imperial scout ship drifted toward the human fleet, its sensors extended, recording and probing. The humans watched, unmoved. When the scout approached too closely, Mara issued a simple command: "Deploy decoys." Within seconds, the human ships released small drones, each mimicking the energy signature of a full-size vessel. The scout, expecting to see only a handful of humans, was confronted with dozens of signals, each identical in power and structure. Confusion spread through its systems. It fired warning pulses, tried to distinguish the real ships from the illusions, but failed. Back in the Empire, Admiral Cray frowned at the reports coming from the scout. "Impossible," he muttered. "They are multiplying?" "They are humans, sir," one officer replied cautiously. "It appears they are using some kind of sensor interference." Cray slammed his fist on the armrest. "Interference? Our scanners are perfect. This is absurd. Prepare a strike squadron. Destroy them, now!" But Mara had already anticipated this. As the Imperial squadron approached, human pilots performed maneuvers the Empire had never seen. Ships darted in ways that seemed impossible, weaving through asteroid fields with precision and vanishing behind cosmic debris. The humans struck in brief, calculated bursts, disabling weapons, causing minor damage, and retreating before the Empire could react fully. Imperial communications were full of frustration. "We cannot predict their movements," reports said. "Our attacks are ineffective. They strike and vanish." "They are just lucky," Admiral Cray insisted. "Humans cannot be this skilled. Prepare a larger fleet. We will end this farce," but luck had little to do with it. Humans were skilled not because of sheer technology, but because of strategy and quick thinking. The Empire had relied on numbers, on hierarchy, on rigid formations. Humans thrived in chaos. Mara watched the approaching Imperial fleet, her mind calculating, her instincts sharp. She knew the Empire would assume superiority, that they would expect fear. That was exactly what humans had learned to exploit: the enemy's arrogance. "Prepare for evasive patterns," she ordered. "Use the belt as cover. Remember, the larger they are, the easier it is to hide in plain sight." The human ships moved as one, but in unpredictable ways. Each pilot adjusted speed and trajectory on instinct, responding to tiny changes in enemy position. Drones and sensors created illusions, hiding the fleet's true size and movements. For the Empire, it was a nightmare. Ships that seemed to be in one place would suddenly appear behind them, strike and vanish again. Back in the Empire's command tower, Admiral Cray rubbed his temples.
They are not following logic, he admitted, almost to himself.
They are thinking differently. Sir, an officer said cautiously, this is unprecedented. No species has ever challenged Imperial patrols like this. They are unpredictable. Cray's eyes narrowed. Then we will predict them. I want analysis on every movement, every strike. Study their patterns. Humans will not continue to surprise us. We are the Empire. But the humans had already anticipated this line of thinking. Their fleet split into smaller units, appearing scattered and vulnerable. Imperial ships converged, sensing easy targets. Then simultaneously, human units regrouped, striking in coordinated precision. Weapon systems were disabled, engines disrupted, and several Imperial craft were forced to retreat. For the first time, the Empire faced defeat not through massive battles, but through strategy, creativity, and intuition. Humans were proving that the rules of warfare, as the Empire understood them, did not apply. Mara observed the chaos unfolding. They think in straight lines. We think in possibilities. Remember this, everyone. They will adapt, but so will we. Our strength is not in armor or firepower. It is in our minds and our will. As the Imperial fleet withdrew, reports flooded the command towers. Human ships were faster than expected, evasive, and strangely precise in their attacks. Admiral Cray stared at the blips on his tactical displays, his confidence shaken. Impossible, he muttered. How can so few resist so many? Meanwhile, the humans regrouped in the asteroid belt, unseen and unscathed. The crew of the Endurance exchanged relieved smiles. It had been a small engagement, a test of wits and patience. But the Empire had learned something crucial. Humans were not to be underestimated. Mara addressed her crew, her voice calm but proud. Today we showed them a truth they will not forget. We are small, but we are clever. We do not fight like others. Remember this. Fear underestimates intelligence. That will always be our advantage. Her words were more than encouragement, they were a declaration. Humans would survive, humans would adapt, and humans would show the galaxy that size and numbers are not the measure of strength. As the stars stretched endlessly around them, the human fleet moved silently, a small glimmer of defiance against a vast empire. The Empire might have thought the humans weak, but that assumption would cost them. The humans smiled quietly, ready for whatever the galaxy would throw next. In that vast, quiet void, one thing was certain. The Galactic Empire had just met a species it could not control, a species that would not bow, and a species that thrived where others failed. And for the humans, the first battle was not just about survival. It was about proving, quietly but undeniably, that intelligence, courage, and willpower could defy even the greatest power in the galaxy. The Imperial fleet regrouped in the dark expanse beyond the asteroid belt. Admiral Cray's face was grim, the first real sting of defeat etched into his normally confident expression. Reports from the scouts painted a troubling picture. Humans were not just evasive, they were clever, coordinated, and unpredictable. They outmaneuvered our strike squadron with half the ships we sent, an officer reported, hands trembling slightly. Their tactics are unlike anything we've seen. Cray's jaw tightened. He had expected resistance, but this was different. Prepare the battle fleet, he ordered, voice cold. We will crush them this time. Bring every warship we have in this sector. No more games. No more illusions. The humans, meanwhile, had returned to their base near a cluster of hidden asteroids. The crew of the Endurance worked quickly, repairing minor damage from the skirmish and analyzing the Imperial response. Lieutenant Rian approached Mara Voss, concern on his face. They'll come back, and they'll come with more ships. We can't match them in numbers. Mara's eyes sparkled with determination. We don't need to match them in numbers. That's exactly what they expect. Humans don't fight like others. We use what they don't anticipate: speed, creativity, and coordination. That will be our advantage. Her words were not just motivational, they were a strategy. Humans had survived countless challenges by thinking differently, by using intelligence and adaptability over brute force. Against an empire that valued size and power, that difference could be decisive. As predicted, the empire returned. A fleet 10 times larger than before advanced toward the human sector, massive warships glinting under distant starlight. For the first time, The humans could see the full extent of their adversary. Yet instead of fear, there was focus. Deploy scouts, Mara ordered. Map their formation. Look for weaknesses. Remember, the larger they are, the more mistakes they make. Human pilots launched swiftly, darting in and out of the asteroid belt, observing and recording the movements of the Imperial ships. Every detail was logged and analyzed in seconds, not hours. Humans were fast thinkers. They didn't wait for instructions, they adapted instantly. Admiral Cray, observing from his flagship, assumed confidence would win this time. "We have them cornered," he declared. "Our formation is perfect. They cannot escape." The humans smiled quietly as they prepared their plan. Instead of meeting the Empire head-on, they divided their fleet into small, agile units. Each unit carried out specific tasks. Some would create diversions, others would disable sensors, and the rest would strike where the Empire least expected. "Remember," Mara said to her officers, "we are not the largest. We are not the strongest, but we are faster in thought and in action. The Empire believes power wins. Let's show them otherwise." The battle began in a silent flash. Human drones zipped between asteroids, scattering false sensor signals that made it impossible for Imperial officers to locate real ships. Imperial gunners fired at blips that weren't real, wasting precious energy. Then, in a sudden strike, human units hit the flanks of the Imperial fleet. Missiles and energy pulses disabled weapons systems on several warships, forcing the Empire to retreat and regroup. The humans didn't linger to celebrate. They vanished, reappearing in positions no one expected, striking again and again with precision. Cray's eyes widened in disbelief as reports poured in. "How is this possible? They are everywhere and nowhere at the same time. Their ships appear, attack, and vanish before we can react. This defies logic." "Sir," an officer said hesitantly, "it seems they are using the environment. The asteroid belt, gravitational anomalies. They are turning hazards into advantages." Cray slammed his fist on the console. "Humans cannot be this skilled. Find a way to counter them. They will not humiliate us twice." Meanwhile, the humans adapted on the fly. When Imperial reinforcements arrived, the humans had already shifted formation. They cut off supply lines, disrupted communications, and even repurposed a few of the enemy's sensors to mislead the larger fleet. Captain Mara watched her tactical screens closely. They are strong in numbers but slow in thought. Every move they make is predictable once you understand their patterns. Exploit that and we can survive and win. Her plan was working perfectly. The Empire, confident in brute strength, faltered again and again as human ingenuity dictated the battle. Pilots called out positions. Engineers rerouted power to shields at the right moments, and strategists predicted enemy movements with uncanny accuracy. Hours passed, and the clash continued. Imperial ships were damaged, engines overloaded, and systems failing. Yet the humans, though outnumbered, maintained calm precision. Every strike, every retreat was intentional. The Empire had encountered no civilization that could fight like this. Finally, after a long day of battle, the Empire was forced to withdraw. The human fleet remained intact, though weary and battle-scarred. The victory was not total, but it was enough to send a message. Humans were not to be underestimated. Cray sat in his command chair, silent for a moment. "Report," he demanded, voice tense. "Sir, the human fleet has evaded destruction again," an officer replied. "Several of our warships are severely damaged. They used unorthodox tactics. We cannot understand how they coordinate so quickly." Cray leaned back, deep in thought. "Unorthodox tactics? That is the key. They fight differently. They are not like any species we have encountered. They think faster, adapt faster, and exploit weaknesses we didn't even know existed. The humans, on their side, repaired minor damages, analyzed enemy tactics, and trained for the next engagement." Mara addressed her officers once more. "Today we showed them humans do not fight like everyone else," she said, voice steady. "They believed size and firepower win battles. We proved intelligence and courage matter just as much. Remember this. The Empire will underestimate us, and that is their greatest mistake." Her words resonated deeply with the crew. Humans had always survived by thinking differently, and now they were doing it on a galactic scale. Each small victory strengthened not just their fleet but their confidence. They were not just surviving. They were showing the galaxy that humans could challenge even the mightiest empires. Back in the Empire, Admiral Cray convened his council. "We must rethink our approach," he said grimly. "This species, it defies logic. Their tactics are unconventional but effective. They are dangerous not because of their size but because of their mind. Humans are unpredictable. We must respect that if we hope to defeat them." The human fleet, meanwhile, moved quietly through the stars, a shadow among the lights. They had not only survived, they had taught the Empire a lesson in humility. And for humans, that lesson was clear. Fear was not a weakness, and intelligence combined with courage could outmatch any enemy, no matter how powerful. As night fell over distant planets and stars shone in silent constellations, humans celebrated quietly, not with arrogance but with quiet pride. They knew the battles ahead would be harder, the Empire more relentless, but they also knew that humanity's greatest weapon was not technology or numbers. It was their ability to think, adapt and endure where others failed. And in the deep reaches of space, the Empire began to whisper the first warnings. Humans are not what we expected. They are clever, fast, and unpredictable. This is no ordinary fleet. This is a species to fear. For Mara Voss and her crew, the first clash had been a revelation. Not of victory alone, but of humanity's true strength. Outnumbered, outgunned, yet never outmatched in spirit, humans had shown that intelligence, courage, and unity could change the course of any battle. The stars stretched endlessly ahead, a canvas for future conflicts. The humans would continue to move, to adapt, and to surprise. And the Empire, no matter how powerful, would never look at humans the same way again. The Galactic Empire had never faced a foe like humans before. The reports coming into Admiral Cray's command tower were chaotic and alarming. Ships that should have been destroyed reappeared elsewhere. Entire squadrons vanished and struck unexpectedly, and Imperial communications were constantly disrupted. Admiral Cray stood before a large holographic display of the galaxy, blinking with the positions of the fleets. He rubbed his temples, frustration and disbelief warring on his face. "They cannot be this capable," he muttered. "How can so few resist so many? They should have surrendered or been destroyed by now." A junior officer hesitated before speaking. "Sir, they are not just resisting. They are taking the fight to us. They are disrupting our fleets, sabotaging our communications, and even using our own technology against us. Reports indicate that Imperial ships have been disabled without significant human losses." Cray's eyes narrowed. "Impossible. No species has ever done this to the Empire. We are the strongest, the most advanced. This is illogical." But the humans were not bound by the Empire's rules of logic. They thrived where others relied on rigid plans and overwhelming force. Captain Mara Voss observed the situation from her command center aboard the Endurance. "Listen carefully," she said to her officers. "The Empire believes power and numbers win battles. They are learning too slowly. That is our advantage. Chaos is our friend. Predictability is theirs. Use it." Her officers nodded, fully aware that every move mattered. Human ships were not the largest in the galaxy, nor were they the most powerful. Yet they moved with a precision that came from intelligence, intuition, and coordination. Each pilot, engineer, and strategist contributed to a system far greater than the sum of its parts. Lieutenant Rian approached Mara with a report. "Sir, the Empire is sending elite warlords to this sector. Their goal is to crush us completely. They are bringing reinforcements and specialized ships designed to hunt smaller fleets." Mara smiled faintly. "Good, let them come. The more confident they are, the more mistakes they will make. Humans have always thrived under pressure. This will be no different." As the Imperial reinforcements approached, humans prepared for their most daring tactics yet. Using the asteroid belt and nearby gravity wells, they created false sensor signatures that made their fleet appear scattered and weak. Imperial commanders, eager for an easy victory, fell into the trap. When the first wave of Imperial attack ships approached, human units struck with precision. Missiles targeted engine cores and weapon systems, while electronic warfare modules scrambled sensors and communications. Imperial warships, expecting straightforward combat, found themselves disabled in unpredictable ways. "Sir," one officer reported to Admiral Cray, voice tight with tension, "our fleet is being outmaneuvered. The humans are striking and disappearing before we can respond. Entire squadrons are reporting failures in their systems. It is as if they anticipate our every move." Cray's face darkened. "Anticipate? They are not machines." "How can they anticipate a strategy we haven't even revealed?" Meanwhile, the human fleet was calm. Captain Mara observed the battlefield like a chess master. She had no illusions that the Empire would be easy to defeat. But humans had a quality no automated system or rigid doctrine could replicate. Adaptability. Focus on their weaknesses, she ordered. Every system can be disrupted. Every formation can be broken. Remember, the Empire relies on predictability. They think in straight lines. We think in possibilities. Human engineers worked at astonishing speed. Damaged ships were repaired mid-battle, sometimes using repurposed Imperial components. Pilots coordinated strikes with minimal communication, anticipating each other's movements perfectly. The humans were a living, thinking machine, capable of improvisation the Empire could not match. Admiral Craig grew desperate. Every report made him more anxious. Increase fleet patrols, he ordered. Cut off their supply lines. Bring in additional warships. Nothing can allow them to continue resisting. But the humans were always one step ahead. They avoided ambushes, exploited gaps in formation, and struck in unexpected locations. Imperial officers were baffled, unable to comprehend the speed and precision of human decision-making. On board the Endurance, Mara watched as one of the Imperial command ships was temporarily disabled by a coordinated human strike. "See that?" she said to her officers. "They are powerful, yes, but rigid. That rigidity is their weakness, use it. Every action we take must make them doubt, hesitate, or miscalculate." The Imperial warlords were furious. "These humans are fools," one barked. "They cannot possibly maintain this level of resistance. Destroy them now." Yet each attack ended in frustration. The humans adapted instantly, countering assaults before they could fully form. The Empire began losing entire squadrons without capturing a single human ship. Panic began to ripple through the fleet. Reports reached the Emperor himself. "They are resisting?" he asked, voice calm but tinged with curiosity. "A small human fleet? Surely our power is unmatched." His advisors hesitated. "Your Majesty, the humans, they fight differently. They are not merely resisting. They are defeating our strategies repeatedly. Their fleet appears to anticipate our moves. Entire squadrons are disabled without significant human losses. We do not understand how they do it." The Emperor's eyes narrowed. "Then we must learn. Find out everything about these humans. Study them. Understand them. They cannot be allowed to grow stronger." Back in the human fleet, Mara briefed her crew. "The Empire is panicking. That is our advantage. They rely on fear and certainty, and they have none of it now. We must continue to act with precision, courage, and coordination. Never let them dictate the battle. Remember, humans do not fight like others. That is our greatest weapon." Her words inspired confidence. The humans moved as one, striking when necessary, retreating when wise, and always adapting. Each encounter left the Empire more fearful, more uncertain, and more frustrated. Lieutenant Ryan, observing a screen, shook his head in amazement. "They're trying to predict us, but they can't. Every move we make, it confuses them more. They don't understand human thinking." Mara smiled faintly. "That's because human thinking is not a straight line. We look for possibilities, not just one solution. We anticipate and adapt. That is what makes us different. That is what makes us strong." As the battle dragged on, the Empire began to retreat strategically, but not entirely voluntarily. Damage reports, low morale, and failed attacks forced them to regroup. Admiral Craig could barely contain his frustration. "We are the Empire. We cannot be bested by a handful of humans." One officer dared to speak. "Sir, perhaps their strength is not in size or firepower, but in adaptability, their ability to respond to chaos. It is remarkable. They are unlike any species we've faced." Craig's face darkened. "Then we will adapt. We will study them, and we will destroy them. No fleet can survive if it faces the full power of the Empire. No species can." Meanwhile, humans returned to their hidden base victorious but cautious. Repairs and resupplies began immediately, and Mara addressed her crew one final time for the day. "Today we did more than survive. We taught the Empire a lesson. Humans are not to be underestimated. They expect us to act predictably, and we did not. Intelligence, courage, and adaptability won the day. Remember this: the Empire fears what it does not understand. And that is exactly how we will continue to win." The crew nodded, a mix of pride and determination in their eyes. They were not just fighting for survival. They were showing the galaxy that humans could challenge even the most powerful empires. In the Empire's command towers, Panic and disbelief spread. Reports called humans unpredictable, dangerous, and even impossible to defeat using conventional tactics. For the first time in its long history, the Empire faced a species it could not control, a species it could not easily predict. Captain Mara Voss knew this was only the beginning. The Empire would return stronger and more determined. But humans had already demonstrated their greatest strength, the ability to adapt, to think creatively, and to act courageously under pressure. As the stars stretched endlessly across the galaxy, humans moved silently through the void. Each ship, each crew member represented a force the Empire had not accounted for. The first real clash had ended, but the war and humanity's legend was only beginning. And somewhere, deep in the Imperial command, Admiral Cray muttered to himself, "They are humans, but they are nothing like I expected. This is a species to fear." The humans, unaware of the exact thoughts of the Empire, smiled quietly. They knew one truth above all. The galaxy underestimated them at its own peril, and in that truth lay their greatest power. The galaxy was tense. The Empire's fleets had withdrawn temporarily, but the humans knew it was only a matter of time before they returned, stronger and more determined. Captain Mara Voss stood on the bridge of the Endurance, gazing at the holographic map of the sector. "The Empire will strike again," she said, her voice calm but firm. "They will bring more ships, more firepower, and more strategy. But we have something they cannot match: ingenuity." Her officers nodded. Humans had learned long ago that survival required more than strength. Intelligence, creativity, and teamwork had always been humanity's greatest weapons. And now, against an empire that believed only in power, those weapons would shine. Lieutenant Ryan pointed at a location on the map. "Captain, the Imperial shipyard is here. It is heavily defended, shielded by automated turrets, surveillance satellites, and multiple warships. Striking it head-on would be suicide." Mara's eyes lit up. "Then we won't strike head-on. We will strike in a way they do not expect. Humans never fight by the rules others expect. Prepare the fleet. This mission will test every skill we have." The humans began their preparations. Engineers worked day and night, reinforcing hulls, optimizing engines, and recalibrating weapons. Pilots practiced complex maneuvers, learning to move with the precision of a living machine. Strategists studied the Imperial shipyard, noting every patrol pattern, sensor blind spot, and gravitational anomaly in the system. "Remember," Mara told the crew, "we are not just attacking. We are demonstrating that humans cannot be stopped by fear or power alone. Every move must be precise, every decision deliberate. We win not by force, but by thinking faster than they do." The day of the attack arrived. The human fleet approached the heavily guarded system under the cover of an asteroid belt. Imperial sensors scanned continuously, but humans had learned how to hide in plain sight. Decoys, energy dampeners, and electronic interference masked their approach, making the fleet appear smaller and weaker than it was. Admiral Cray, aboard the Imperial Dawn, monitored the human fleet with growing frustration. "They dare approach the shipyard again? We destroyed their last formation easily." "Sir, their approach is unusual," an officer reported. "They are avoiding all predictable paths. It is as if they are thinking ahead of us," Cray scowled. "Impossible. Study every movement. They cannot anticipate us. Find a way to stop them." But Mara had already planned for every contingency. As the humans reached the inner defense perimeter, they divided into specialized units. Some created false energy signatures, drawing Imperial turrets to the wrong positions. Others used stealth modules to bypass defenses, targeting critical systems with precise strikes. The attack began in perfect synchronization. Human ships darted between asteroids, striking rapidly and vanishing before the Imperial gunners could respond. Missiles and energy pulses hit key turrets, disabling shields and weapons. Sensors were jammed, forcing Imperial ships to retreat and regroup. The Empire had never encountered such coordination. Entire squadrons found themselves disabled or misdirected by the humans' clever tactics. Admiral Cray's frustration boiled over. "How can so few ships cause so much damage?" he shouted. "They are not following logic." Mara watched the battle unfold with calm intensity. Every human pilot executed maneuvers with precision. Every engineer kept systems running at maximum efficiency, and every strategist anticipated enemy movements. Humans were a single organism with many parts acting in harmony. In the chaos, the humans achieved what many had deemed impossible. They reached the core of the Imperial shipyard. Using a combination of hacking, energy pulses, and controlled strikes, they disabled the main weapons arrays. Ships docked for repairs were immobilized. Command centers went dark, leaving Imperial officers scrambling for control. "Sir, they've penetrated the defenses," one officer reported in disbelief. "How is this possible?" Cray slammed his fist on the console. Impossible. But the humans were not done. They conducted a daring rescue operation, freeing prisoners held in the shipyard. Using the confusion caused by the attacks, humans moved silently, disabling security systems and guiding the captives to safety. Every action was precise, calculated, and effective. Back on the Endurance, Mara observed the operation with satisfaction. "This is the moment they understand humans cannot be crushed by fear or numbers alone," she said. "We strike with precision, think ahead, and adapt faster than they can react. That is our strength." The Imperial fleet tried to respond, but it was too late. Ships were damaged, command structures disrupted, and morale shattered. Even Cray, known for his composure, could not hide his alarm. "They are extraordinary. Every move we counter, they anticipate. Every trap we set, they evade. How is this possible?" The humans executed their final maneuvers, retreating with all captives and leaving the shipyard crippled but not destroyed. The operation had been a success beyond expectation. A small human fleet had infiltrated the heart of Imperial defenses, struck decisive blows, and escaped unscathed. Mara addressed her crew. "Today we proved what humans have always known. Intelligence, courage, and adaptability matter more than size or firepower. The Empire thought fear and power would stop us. They were wrong. Always remember, no matter the odds, humans can succeed where others fail." The crew celebrated quietly. There was no arrogance, only pride and relief. Every ship, every crew member, had contributed to an operation that would be remembered across the galaxy. The humans had shown that with strategy, courage, and coordination, the impossible could become possible. Back in the Empire's command tower, panic spread like wildfire. Reports of the human strike on the shipyard caused shock, disbelief, and anger. Fleet officers whispered in fear. "They cannot be stopped. They are different. They think faster, act quicker, and adapt constantly." Admiral Cray gathered his commanders. "We must acknowledge one thing. Humans are not like other species. They are unpredictable, intelligent, and remarkably brave. We underestimated them, and we paid the price. We must rethink every strategy, every plan, every assumption. Failure is not an option." But the humans had already anticipated future moves. Mara studied the galaxy's reports, noting Imperial fleet movements and predicted responses. "They are afraid," she said. "Not of our ships, not of our weapons, but of our thinking. That fear is our advantage. They cannot understand what we can do. That is why humans will always survive." As the human fleet returned to their hidden base, they moved silently through the stars. Every ship was battle-ready, every crew member vigilant. The operation had been a turning point. The Empire had seen humans' true capabilities. Intelligence, courage, and coordination could overcome any odds. The Empire would not recover easily. Rumors spread among its fleets. Humans were unbeatable, unpredictable, and impossible to control. Even minor engagements caused fear. The galaxy was beginning to whisper a truth that would be remembered for generations. Humans could succeed where others failed. Captain Mara Voss reflected on the day's events. The Empire believes power alone wins battles. They are learning slowly that it does not. Humans adapt, humans think, humans endure. That is our advantage. That is our strength. In the vast emptiness of space, the stars glimmered like distant beacons, silent witnesses to humanity's ingenuity. The Empire's fleets had been challenged, their assumptions shattered, and their confidence shaken. Yet humans had emerged stronger, smarter, and more determined. The first real turning point in the war had arrived. Humans had shown that even against overwhelming power, courage, intelligence, and unity, could achieve the impossible. The Empire's panic was only beginning, and humans had only begun to demonstrate the force they truly were. As Mara looked toward the stars, she knew the coming battles would be harder, the Empire more relentless. But humans were prepared. They had proven that fear and power were not enough to stop them. And in that knowledge lay humanity's greatest strength, the certainty that no matter the challenge, humans could endure, adapt, and triumph. The galaxy had witnessed the first turning point. The Empire would never see humans the same way again, and the humans, ever vigilant, moved forward silently, ready for whatever the stars would bring next. The galaxy was tense. The Empire had regrouped after the shocking losses at the human fleet's hands. Their pride wounded, their confidence shaken, they assembled the largest fleet ever sent to the outer sectors, warships bristling with weapons, sensors scanning every inch of space, and command officers determined to crush the humans once and for all. Admiral Cray stood aboard the Imperial Dawn, watching the human fleet on his tactical displays. His jaw was tight and his normally composed expression was replaced with concern. "They have survived every engagement," he muttered. "Every attack, every strategy, defeated. How can so few defy the might of the Empire?" An officer hesitated. "Sir, it appears their strength is not in numbers or firepower. They are different. They adapt. They think faster. Every move we anticipate, they counter. We cannot defeat them as we defeat others." Cray's eyes narrowed. "Then we must change our approach. We will not rely on size alone. We will anticipate, adapt, and strike decisively. No human will escape this time." Meanwhile, Captain Mara Voss and her officers aboard the Endurance studied the approaching Imperial fleet. They were vastly outnumbered, yet humans did not feel fear. Fear had never been their master. Instead, they felt focus, determination, and the thrill of challenge. "The Empire brings everything they have," Mara said quietly. "This is no ordinary engagement. But we have always succeeded where others fail. Remember, humans do not fight like anyone else. They expect power and force. We give them strategy, unpredictability, and intelligence. That is our advantage." The human fleet moved silently through the stars, hiding among asteroid belts, using sensor interference to appear scattered and weak. The Empire, confident in its size and weapons, did not notice the subtle signs of human planning. As the battle began, Imperial warships opened fire, their energy pulses cutting through space. But the humans had already anticipated every move. Ships darted unpredictably, weaving between debris and gravitational anomalies, striking weak points with surgical precision. Lieutenant Ryan called out, "Captain, they are focusing on the front line. They believe we will flee, but our units on the flanks are ready to strike." Mara smiled faintly. "Good, let them believe they understand us. Then we will show them the truth. Humans cannot be predicted." The human units attacked simultaneously, creating the illusion of a massive fleet that was far larger than reality. Sensors reported dozens of ships where only a handful existed. The Empire fired at illusions, wasting ammunition and energy, while human pilots struck at critical targets: engines, weapons arrays, and command modules. Imperial officers panicked. "They are everywhere." "Impossible. Our weapons. Our systems." "Failing." Admiral Cray slammed his fist on the console. "No fleet has ever survived like this."
Study their movements.
"Predict them. Stop them." But prediction was useless against humans. Mara's strategy was based on adaptability and creativity. When the Empire expected one move, humans made another. When a trap was set, it was used against the trapper. Every engagement reinforced the humans' reputation. They were unstoppable, not by firepower, but by intellect and courage. Amid the chaos, human engineers repaired damaged ships in real time, sometimes using parts salvaged from Imperial technology. Pilots coordinated strikes with minimal communication, anticipating each other's actions with precision that seemed almost supernatural to the Empire. One by one, Imperial command ships fell silent. Systems disabled, crews confused, and morale shattered. The fleet's coordination began to crumble. Admiral Cray realized that brute force alone could not win this battle. The humans had turned every advantage the Empire relied upon into a weakness. "They are thinking differently," Cray muttered. "They do not fight like others. Their strength, it is not in numbers. It is in their minds." Mara knew the decisive moment had arrived. "Prepare the final strike units," she ordered. "Target their command ships. Disable, don't destroy. Force them to see who we are." Human strike teams moved with incredible speed and precision, bypassing defenses and striking vital control modules. Imperial command ships went dark, engines failing, weapons offline. The Empire's fleet, despite its size, could no longer operate effectively. Cray's voice was barely audible through the comms. "This cannot be. How can so few defeat so many? They are humans? Mara addressed her fleet calmly. This is what humans can do. We survive, we adapt, we overcome. They will remember this day. Humanity is not just strong, we are clever, brave, and united. That is why we prevail. The Imperial fleet, seeing its command crippled and systems failing, called a ceasefire. The Emperor himself observed the battle, his face unreadable as he watched humans demonstrate what no other species had before. Victory through intelligence, strategy, and willpower. The humans did not celebrate the Empire's defeat with arrogance. They moved with quiet dignity, tending to their own wounded, rescuing trapped crews, and securing the battlefield. Every action reflected humanity's greatest strength, courage coupled with moral clarity. Admiral Cray, defeated yet awed, issued a report to the Emperor. Your Majesty, the humans. They are unlike any species we have faced. They think faster than our machines, adapt faster than our fleets, and act with precision that defies logic. They are not simply a fleet. They are a force to be respected, if not feared. The Emperor remained silent for a moment, studying the humans' actions. Finally, he spoke. They are indeed extraordinary. The Empire has underestimated them. It is time we acknowledge their strength, not just as warriors, but as a species capable of shaping the galaxy. Back aboard the Endurance, Mara looked at her crew. We have not only survived, we have proven something greater. Humanity is clever, adaptable, and brave. No empire, no matter how large, can ignore that. Today, the galaxy saw humans for what we truly are, a species that can face any challenge, overcome any obstacle, and emerge stronger. Her crew smiled, proud yet humble. Humans did not fight for glory. They fought because survival, intelligence, and courage were part of their nature. They had shown the galaxy that being human meant more than strength. It meant creativity, unity, and the will to endure. Imperial fleets withdrew, their pride wounded, their understanding forever altered. The galaxy began to whisper tales of the humans who could defeat overwhelming odds, who could strike where no one expected, and who could survive when others would fall. Humans were no longer considered weak or insignificant. They were respected, cautiously admired, and feared for their ingenuity. Mara addressed her crew one last time. Remember this day. Remember what we have accomplished. Not through brute force, but through thought, courage, and teamwork. Humanity has proven itself. The galaxy now knows that humans are not just survivors. We are a force that shapes the future. The stars stretched endlessly around them, silent witnesses to humanity's triumph. Ships glided through space, crews working in harmony, every action a reflection of human ingenuity. The Empire had faced a species it could not predict, a species it could not control, and a species that would never bow. As the humans moved forward, they did so with quiet pride. The battles ahead would be difficult, the Empire persistent, and the challenges great. But humans had shown their greatest strength: intelligence, courage, adaptability, and unity could defeat even the mightiest foes. And in that truth, the galaxy learned something new. Humans were not merely participants in the cosmic stage. They were leaders, innovators, and survivors. The Empire had been humbled, the galaxy had been warned, and humanity had earned the respect it deserved. Captain Mara Voss looked out at the stars, thinking of the battles yet to come. The war is far from over, she said. But one thing is clear: humans will never be underestimated again. The galaxy will remember today, and humanity will always rise, no matter the odds. In that moment, the human fleet moved silently onward, a symbol of ingenuity, courage, and the enduring spirit that made them unique. The Empire had learned to fear them, the galaxy had learned to respect them, and humanity had learned once again what it meant to survive, adapt, and triumph. The turning point had passed. The humans had proven their place among the stars, and as the vast universe stretched before them, one truth remained undeniable: the galaxy would never see humans the same way again.